Hello everyone, welcome to episode 39 of Driver Suit Blog Radio. As always, I'm your host, David G. Firestone. We're going to have a quick episode this week because I have had a lot of things go wrong this week, between being expected to fix technical problems I myself did not cause, to being yelled at for things that are just completely idiotic. I mean, God forbid I should finish my dinner before I help my mom log back into Facebook after she messed up after her computer died and we had to spend the weekend setting up her new one. Now, I was hoping that a great racing weekend would help my woes, but this great racing weekend was tainted by a lot of things. Number one, you had Hurricane Ian, you had the Jordan Anderson fire at Talladega, and you had a few scary moments at the NHRA Midwest Nationals, but what really spoiled the weekend for me was Formula One's bullshit. When Charlie Whiting died, did everyone else just say, all right, we're not going to enforce the rules as much as we should if it makes for good, a good storyline? I mean, here's a few things that took place at the Singapore Grand Prix, and I would say more, but I don't want to talk about this any more than I have to. And you'll understand why by the end. Okay, Sir Lewis Hamilton was almost penalized for wearing a nose stud. Now, most people would say, well, why is this an issue? Well, according to the rules, certain pieces of jewelry are forbidden when racing. Now this is due to the fact that these pieces of jewelry increase the risk of burn injuries and also complications when the medical crews are scanning and analyzing them, and in case medical imaging is needed following an accident. Okay, that's understandable. But this rule has actually been in place since 2005, but it hasn't really been strictly enforced until earlier this year. Now, the jewelry in question that falls under the rule include chains, bracelets, and piercings of any kind. Now, I don't have piercings. I don't want piercings. I don't get the whole idea behind piercings. But I just don't get why people wear them in this day and age. It's like, as George Carlin so famously phrased it, it was meant to piss off the squares. Now the squares are wearing them. Now, the reason why Hamilton was left the nose ring in, or the nose stud, or whatever it was because he had to take it out. He kept taking it out before he got in the car, but it caused some kind of infection. And I don't know how we can't prevent this in 2022, but, that's just me. Maybe I'm stupid, but I think there's a way we could prevent the infections. I just don't know why it hasn't been enforced yet. Now, he had a doctor's note saying that because of the infections, he shouldn't take it out. Maybe this is just me, but if I had a nose stud and it kept giving me infections, I would take it out. Then again, that's just me. But according to Formula One, Mercedes had submitted a form of self-scrutineering. That is a handful to say, by the way. And this self-scrutineering form declared that, quote, the driver had complied with the requirement not to wear jewelry in the form of body piercing. As a direct result of this being false, the team was fined 25,000 euros, which is about $24,498.38 as of the making of this video. Now, this was a whole debacle in and of itself. I get why the rule's in place, but it's one of these things where it really doesn't. A small nose ring is not going to interfere as much as some people might think it would, as far as I'm concerned. But then when race time came, Formula One's incompetency was laid bare for the world to see. The race had to be delayed significantly because of weather issues. And even then, when the race actually started, the track was not nearly as raceable as anyone would have liked. Now, granted, I understand you can't control Mother Nature. I get it. I don't like it, but that's just the way it is. If it's going to rain, it's going to rain. This led to numerous incidents on track with drivers hitting walls and, championship competitors being knocked out early. But you had two things that I consider to be completely unforgivable. Number one, Max Verstappen being completely unpenalized during a virtual safety car for overtaking, and Sergio Perez, who committed 3 different safety car infringements, but was only penalized for 1. It's like, had he been penalized for 3, he wouldn't have kept his win. It's just, how do you justify that? How do you break the rules 3 separate times, completely independent of each other, and then you don't get penalized for all 3, you just get penalized for 1? How does that work? Someone explain this to me. And again, I don't think, some people are saying that, well, Formula One's throwing races and they're biased and blah, blah. No, I don't think so. I think they just, the new guys who are in charge, they all just suck. When you have a guy like Charlie Whiting, who was the lead steward of Formula One for a long time, and he was very good at his job. He had, the 2005 U.S. Grand Prix, I think, wasn't a black mark on his record, but he was mostly reliable and he was good. Since his death, it's almost as if everyone in Formula One is just trying to get out for themselves. And I've heard rumors as of late indicating that there's going to be a controversy concerning budget caps. Now, for those of you who don't know, a budget cap is similar to what American sports has called salary caps. You can't spend more on a roster of players than a set amount. Formula One has this too, but there's no real way to police it as well as you might think. And it's come out recently that there's being investigations into Red Bull Racing about whether or not they overwent the $145 million salary cap. Or, not salary cap, budget cap. And it's not out of the question that if there is wrongdoing to be found, the championship might be taken away from Verstappen and given to Lewis Hamilton. And to be honest with you, this, again, it's just, what the hell is going on here? Where's the officiating? Where's the reliability? Where's the accountability? It's become ever and more clear that Formula One only cares about themselves. But they're not protecting themselves at all, and they're opening themselves up to lawsuits, basically. Because if you think if it comes out that there was favoritism involved, and especially because a steward by the name of what's his name? Steward by the name of Derek Warwick, who's made openly biased comments against Lewis Hamilton, and for some reason he has not been disciplined, really. He's still he's still a steward. How do you make openly biased comments against one driver, the one black driver in the group, by the way? How do you make those comments and not just be immediately thrown out of the out of your job? How do you say that? How do you make openly biased and quasi-racist comments and not be immediately fired in 2022? I don't get this. So, fans are beginning to revolt. Sponsors are not happy. Teams are not happy. Pretty much everybody's not happy, and rightfully so. And I've had to make a very difficult decision concerning where I stand on this. The fact is, until these problems are dealt with, I am not mentioning Formula One on this podcast, on the Driver Suit blog, in any of my other YouTube videos, until these problems are adequately dealt with. When I can watch a Formula One race and not have to worry about whether or not there's bias in the officiating or the championships being handed to somebody, which I think in 2021 did get handed to Max Verstappen, I'm done. I'm no longer a Formula One apologist. I will never mention Formula One on any one of my platforms. I'm sick of preventable bullshit taking the fun away from racing. I'm sick of needless controversies. No more defense of Formula One until these problems are fixed. And I've said it before. Formula One is doing everything they can to turn the fans off in America. Now it looks like they've set that goal for much of the other world. I mean, if more people just stop watching F1 until these problems are fixed, then they'll get it. But again, I'm just one man. You're just one person. They don't care about you. They don't care about us. As long as they're making money, they're not going to change. The moment their paychecks start going down, that's when they'll change. I think I am going to boycott. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with them. I can't do this anymore. And if you turn into this podcast for F1 content, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be hearing anymore until further notice. I'm done with their bullshit, and I'm done defending them. Well, okay, with that little rant out of the way, next week we're going to be doing some stuff that's more positive, including an announcement I had hoped to make this week, but I'm so mad that I couldn't talk about a happy story. So, see you next week for episode 40 of Driver Suit Blog Radio. I'm Dave Firestein. Leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe.